Alrighty, guys, we're back for Haunting Artifacts, and this is an Aetherdrift standard brew, and I'm Redcat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked. But first things first, this was a suggestion down in the comments, so thank you so much for the suggestion. It's gonna be a fun one. It was essentially to try out Hunt the Network, so that's what we're doing. All four of them packed in. It's a 5-mana sorcery rockin' Dimir colors up there. Choose target opponent. Create two 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. Then the chosen player loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Cool stuff, man. We're pairing this with cards to help us go wide with artifacts. Cards like Simulacrum Synthesizer, of course, right? Which is obviously going to pair nicely with all of our mana value 3 or greater artifacts. Cards like Bandit's Hall, which is also helping us ramp into the Hunt the Network. Cards like Repurposing Bay can help us grab the synthesizer out of the build by sacrificing our 2-mana artifacts like Gleaming Barrier. Doesn't mind getting sacrificed because when it dies, you get that treasure token, which also helps us ramp into the Haunt the Network, right? We also have a couple treasure maps here too. Interested to see how much this is going to do today. An early game removal like Grim Bauble also just sticks around on the board as an artifact, which means even more damage and even more life gain on the Haunt the Network. Also, more early game removal with Annihilating Glare. I don't know if you want this to be your removal of choice, but I do like that we can sacrifice Gleaming Barrier to get the treasure while popping the opponent's biggest thing as well. It's also not going to be terrible to sacrifice something like Solemn Simulacrum to it as well. It's a 4-mana 2/2 artifact creature. When it enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. So more ramp packed in to get to this top end is actually pretty sick. When this creature dies, you draw a card as well. So yeah, it's not a terrible card to sacrifice to something like Annihilating Glare or Repurposing Bay. However, if you sacrifice it to the Repurposing Bay, there's not a whole lot to grab out of the deck list, except for a couple Memory Guardians. But I guess if you're upgrading Simulacrum, that's just a 2/2, into a 3/4 flyer, and you get to draw on the Simulacrum, I guess that's not half bad, right? Also here on the top end, we got a couple Deadly Cover-Ups. Ought to do the thing nicely. We have an Oildeep Gearhulk just as a 1-of. I think it's going to be pretty hard to cast in here, but I also I didn't want to skip it, you know what I mean? So that's why I have one of them in here. We also have 2 Demonic Junkers on the very top end. It's 7 mana. However, it does have affinity for artifacts. So again, a spell with affinity for artifacts costs 1 less to cast for each artifact controlled. I didn't go over that with Memory Guardian, so just in case, thought I'd read it there. When this vehicle enters, for each player, destroy up to 1 target creature that player controls. If a creature you controlled was destroyed this way, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on this vehicle, and then you can crew it for just 2, which is actually really neat, right? So it says for each player, so you're going to pop something that the opponent has, a creature that you want to remove from the opponent's side, and then you have the option to pop one of your own creatures too. And yeah, when we have all 4 Solemn Simulacrums and all 4 Gleaming Barriers, you might honestly do that every now and then, right? Okay, the mana base, I have all 4 Sewers and all 4 Gloomlake Verge as well. We're leaning towards the swamps because Gloomlake Verge every now and then will just be a blue source. Also have a Hidden Cataract here. I do think the Discover could come in handy. Just a 1-of for a very good reason. I hope the tapped land doesn't end up slowing us down. I have a couple Fountainports and a couple Mirrex as well. I think the utility will really come in handy. Okay, some honorable mentions, guys. 3 steps ahead, right? For sure. Just being a counterspell for 1, being card draw for 2, or sometimes copying Simulacrum Synthesizer or other ETB artifacts like Solemn Simulacrum and stuff too. Honorable mention for a very good reason. Lodestone Needle almost made the cut. Thran Spider was almost the choice over Bandit's Hall, but Thran Spider doesn't help us ramp into Haunt the Network, and then also there's not a whole lot of card draw packed in either, so Bandit's Hall might help us with the card draw side of things. Mindsplice Apparatus was a card I thought about, same thing with Mightstone Weakstone, and I almost went Grixis for Cursed Recording as a way to not only be an artifact, but also as a way to copy our Haunt the Network, which actually could be really neat. Let me know if you guys are interested in a Grixis version of this deck list. Okay, guys, I do my dandiest to save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead, take this into some ranked, see how we do. Okay, looks like we're getting right into that first game. What am I expecting from the build? I'm expecting a little bit. I am. I think it's going to be good, but who knows, man? Who knows? I do know one thing. When I play Simulacrum Synthesizer, I like to bring this up. It's one of my favorite blue cards in Standard, if not my favorite. I love Synthesizer. It's really cool. We go first. I'm going to give this a shot. Let's see what happens. First of all, we have Synthesizer in hand. Second of all, we have Haunt the Network in hand. All we got to do is draw pretty well here. That should be easy enough. I don't think we need more mana right now. There's a lot of mana packed in. I'll gladly send that. Okay, Repurposing Bay. It was a mountain from the opponent. Get that treasure map down. Looking like next turn is Synthesizer, right? Yeah, no removal or anything. Could be pretty sketchy, but we were going first, so... Okay, Rakdos colors. Deadly cover-up. Might come in handy at some point. I'm concerned. They looked at my treasure map. I hope that's not an abrade or something. Well, I don't think... I think it'd be pretty silly not to play this just because we're hoping, you know? Okay, we'll send the swamp to the bottom, and it doesn't really matter. It'll get shuffled back in if we play Solemn Simulacrum next turn, but... yeah, that's fine. Totally fine. Yeah, I guess we don't realistically know if we're going to play Solemn Simulacrum next turn. It's Urabrask's Forge. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Hidden Cataract's coming out tapped. So we actually don't have the Solemn Simulacrum. So I'm glad we sent the swamp then. Because we get to see one more off the top before we play that and shuffle it back in. Right, so, I mean, the only thing we can do is Repurposing Bay other than the treasure map, which I don't really... that doesn't make too much sense to me, right? We'll get the Repurposing Bay down. Maybe we'll even sacrifice the treasure map just to get a second Synthesizer on the board. Cost 2 to do that, though, so it depends what's on top here, too. Yeah, we're about to have our 5th mana with the Solemn Simulacrum. I think I will grab a swamp. 4th mana from the opponent. Another Urabrask Forge. Wow. I think we're probably safe to block the 2-1. They do have 1 mana open, but we don't want to take too much damage. I think it's well worth the risk of losing the construct here to something fancy. Some burn. Torch the tower? I don't know. I think that would be worth it. If the opponent has it, that would probably be worthwhile. If we see a 2-mana card, I'd be very tempted to just play that 2-mana card and then use Repurposing Bay to get another Synthesizer over the Simulacrum. Solemn Simulacrum. Yeah, a lot of Simulacrums in here. Anyways, just setting up with more Synthesizers before we actually drop the Haunt the Network should be really good. It is going to be a Torch the Tower from the opponent. I'd say that is very much worthwhile. Okay. Undercity Sewers. Yeah, we can even scry first. We do have enough mana for that. I guess we'll play the Sewers. See what's on top. Oildeep Gearhulk. So we look at their hand, choose a card from it. If we do, that player discards that card, then draws a card. I kind of like this, but I'm gonna send it. And I think I am going to actually... I guess Repurposing Bay will shuffle up anyways. I guess it didn't really matter, did it? We could have kept that in the deck list if we plan on shuffling anyways. Like, literally no matter what we do this turn, we're going to be shuffling. That's funny, dude. All right, I apologize, opponent. I'm taking my good old time over here. Yeah, let's grab another synthesizer, dude. It also yeah, this does a lot for us. I'm gonna keep the other Haunt the Network on top. I think that life gain will really come in handy. A couple turns of Haunt the Network in a row should be pretty good. I'm gonna wait though until we get the Solemn Simulacrum down, of course. That also helps us thin the deck list. So there's a lot of really silly things there where we're actually shuffling the deck quite often in this one. I'll do the same thing as last turn. They got another Torch the Tower. I guess that's fine. At least Torch the Tower's not hitting the Solemn Simulacrum. Okay, Sheoldred, 5th mana. These Urabrass Forge are super scary because Deadly Cover-Up doesn't do much against all that. Alright, come on down, Solemn Simulacrum. Wonder if we get a good swing with this construct. I'll grab that swamp that I was talking about before. See if we get 7 through. If not, this trade is pretty good. Okay, opponent's down to 11. Let's see what they can pull off here. Because if they have their own Deadly Cover-Up, then uh-oh. As a matter of fact, if they had their own Deadly Cover-Up, that might be game. Right? They're swinging with 4 and a 3, 7 getting through. We'd only have 3 artifacts on the board. I guess at that point, yeah, these have trample too. Oh, they skipped the attack phase this time. They're right into their... Ah, they want to sacrifice those. Okay, and that's an exile, so we don't get the card draw on the Solemn Simulacrum. Momentum Breaker's going to also have us sacrifice one of these. Okay, we're losing our artifacts, bro. But, yeah, double Haunt the Networks. I think that's going to be so good. Holy cow. Okay, 3 pieces of spot removal. We're down to 12. Yeah, we stick to the plan though, right? For sure. Haunt the Network. So far, I think I've been playing this out awkwardly. But maybe not. I mean, we're kind of fine, right? Okay, now what's cool here, this is activate only as a sorcery, but we can totally sacrifice the token and grab a Grim Bauble, right? I don't know if that would be worth it. We probably would much prefer, but yeah, we'd much prefer having a chump blocker here with the Thopters, I guess. I guess we could also sacrifice a synthesizer. That would actually be pretty decent, wouldn't it? Oh, we would have forced a block with Sheoldred, guys. If we sacrificed a synthesizer to grab like a one of our 4-drops out of the deck list, which by the way, I should have never ditched the Oildeep Gearhulk, I guess. The lifelink ward would have come in handy. Well, I guess we swing. They still might block. The double Urabrass Forge is super scary, dude. Alright, down to 1. Crap. Okay, it'll be worth it. It'll still be worth it here, guys. We're going to ditch the Simulacrum Synthesizer. This is actually pretty funny. And we're going to grab the Solemn Simulacrum. And we will thin the deck list. And we get another construct. I guess I'll grab another swamp. Yeah, if we would have done that before combat, we would have forced a block into Sheoldred. But it was still going to be worth it there because we wanted... So with their double forge and everything, we wanted to make sure we had enough creatures on the board. Regardless of what they drew. Unless they drew a Deadly Cover-Up, right? So maybe I got pretty lucky there. There's a lot going on. I'd say I played that out pretty awkwardly overall. Let's see if I can do a little better here. That was pretty sick, though. The deck list did the thing nicely, I suppose. There were moments where... Well, first of all, the mana was completely fine, but there were a lot of moments in that game where, like, we had unnecessary open mana on some turns and stuff like that, right? So, okay. Yeah, with the opponent going first this time, we actually have early removal. Let's start with Sewers since they didn't play anything. Synthesizer on top. Wow. That's good, dude. That's really good. Up the beanstalk. Oh, no. All right. We gotta go fast. We gotta go faster than the first game. I know that much. We can successfully get the other Undercity Sewers down. Let's see what's on top here. I think we can send this Undercity Sewers. Because Bandit's Hall ramps us into the 5 for the Haunt the network. And there's there's could easily be more mana on top anyways. Yeah, no targets for the Grim Bauble. We could still set up extra artifacts. I don't think that's going to be worth it right now. There's probably some little tokens we wouldn't mind picking up with the Grim Bauble at some point. Okay, it's going to be another Undercity Sewers, actually. Okay, we're definitely going to try to get the Simulacrum Synthesizer down, but it's not going to be unheard of at all for an up the beanstalk deck list to know how to pick up artifacts. Paw Patch Formation. Wait a minute. What does Paw Patch Formation do? So I like the Mirrex. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a lot of mana, though. It is. It's a lot. It could come in handy against this deck list, though. Mirrex generating extra artifacts. I'm going to keep the Mirrex. Just out of a gut feeling, right? Even though it's a lot of mana. Oh, destroy target enchantment. Yeah, Paw Patch Formation doesn't hit artifacts. Still, cool utility card. Call green, get an Overlord, restock their hand, and ramp. Dangerous business over there. All right, so it only hits creatures and planeswalkers. So it's going to be Bandit's Hall for the turn. If I had a 2-mana card, we wouldn't play the Sewers, but I'm going to start with the Sewers. Haunt the network. Crap, dude. Okay. All right, let's keep the double Haunt the networks again, huh? All right. And then, of course, Bandit's Hall, which we would have. I guess we probably play the Grim Bauble just to have an extra artifact on the board, right? Right? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. The only tokens I can think, well, Beza tokens, I guess. But then also the other Overlord creates 2/1s that fly. Could also be a problem. But right now we're... Okay, they're going to get lost. That's great news for us, man. Map tokens are artifacts. So we'll see if this everywhere is going to act as a blue source for a counterspell this turn. Let's get that Mirrex down and established. Surprisingly, yeah, we haven't really needed the extra ramp and everything. I'll use the Mirrex as a blue source, that's fine. I guess Bandit's Hall is open then. Let's do this. Target opponent. See if they got that counter spell. Bandit's Hall, we're committing a crime. Nice. Nice, that's good, man. Now we could use a map token, but I think they're just better as artifacts, right? I think they are. Okay. We'll see if our 2/1s get to stick around. Now, any artifacts off the top that also helps us generate on the synthesizer is going to be pretty darn good, I would say. Caretaker's Talent. They copy the everywhere. Draw a card. They have 5 cards in hand, 3 mana available. They also have this food, too. Llanowar Elves, they still have the food available. They can go back up to 16 easily here. Overlord's going to be a creature in no time. More mana is actually terrible. Can get the Verge down. Verge is just... Yeah, Verge is just a really good Dimir land thanks to the Sewers. If we do this, we'll have 2 mana open. I guess we could pop the map tokens after the fact, right? Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. It's pretty good, man. It's a lot of damage. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They are going to go ahead and gain. They're down to 7. Dude. All right, now we have the option. We could totally pop the map tokens for the Thopters, see if we can get some extra counters through. I think now would be worth it to haunt the networks out of the deck list. I think now would be worthwhile, right? Also, getting more mana off the top isn't going to be bad either. Memory Guardian is good. We keep that. Swing for 3. Pawn is down to 4. I think they're going to want to wipe the board here. Then Overlord is about to power up as a creature. If they don't have something for these flyers, this could be a problem. They do have something for these flyers. They find a Sunfall. But we should not be surprised by that at all. That is exactly what this deck list does, and it does it very well. I'm going to power up the Restless Prairie for the turn. Wow, dude. They're going for it. I mean, we are at 36, so they better start plugging some damage through. At that point, it's great news that they don't have anything else available in hand. They still have 2 mana open for the Incubator as well. So we could draw on the Bandit's Hall first. Because we could, it's 2 mana. Let's go ahead and do that. I guess I'll play the Swamp that they know about first, too. We have 5 open after the fact, so we could find a Haunt the Network. It's more mana. Oh my. I might go down to 24 in here, guys. I might. Maybe we should have surveilled 2 first, and now then we'd start running low. Maybe the Mirrex token actually would have been pretty good as well. Yeah, because now we don't have enough mana for that. We do have 3 open, though. If we still want to go for the Grim Bauble. Surveil 2 could help us find what we need to win. I'm a little bit afraid of the Overlord, but do I really want to sacrifice something right now? 1 second, opponent. I am thinking, buddy. Yeah, definitely considering the 24 mana, especially with all the... Giddy up, says the opponent. That's funny. I think I'm going to go for the Surveil. And Annihilating Glare is unfortunately sorcery speed. Let's see. Let's see what ends up happening here. They do power up Incubator. We're still at 33, so we're not like... We're not super worried about letting a big attack or through... a big attack or 2 through. Holy cow. Talking's hard, dude. Okay. Looks like they're not powering up the Restless Prairie this time. And they're also keeping the 5/5 back to block our 5/5. So if we would have popped the Overlord, they wouldn't have had the extra card draw on the Caretaker's Talent. That's very important. So we could offer the trade, but if they don't have another creature, I guess they could power up Soulstone Sanctuary and Restless Prairie, or just use spot removal. Yeah, no blocks. Here's why. If we go Construct into the Overlord, they could spot remove the Memory Guardian, and then it's just a chump block, which would actually be really bad. Just go down to 27. Another Caretaker's Talent. Surprised they didn't play that beforehand, but I guess they could still activate the ability anyways, which they do. Another Everywhere, another card draw. Their hand is nice and stocked, dude. This is anyone's game. All right, Grim Bauble. Surveil 2. Let's see what's on top here. Now that we're tapped out, they're looking at their hand again. It is going to be a get lost. More artifacts. I'll take it. I'll take it, dude. Another Synthesizer, Haunt the Network. If they're missing a counterspell, which they very well might be, I don't know how often the Selesnya version runs counterspells. I'll also keep the Synthesizer on top too, but we're going to try to win with Haunt the Network next turn. That's good, dude. That's really good. Let's see what we can get done here. Come on, guys. We still got 4 mana open after this. Is it going through? It's going through, dude. Haunt the Network doing the thing, man. That was cool. 3 of them that game. And what's funny about playing Haunt the Network is, boy, we're not very afraid of Get Lost, are we? Just extra artifacts on the board at that point. Yeah, I'd say keeping the Grim Bauble open for the Surveil was so worth it. I guess if Haunt the Network wasn't on top, we could have easily searched for it, but realistically, we were searching for anything to kind of help us gain some more advantage. Because at that point in the game, when you're looking at those Overlord deck lists, they have a ridiculous amount of advantage. Thanks to Up the Beanstalk and everything, especially. Okay, so far so good, man. I'm enjoying myself. All right, opponent, what you bringing to the table, buddy? I like the hand. We're going first. See what we can get done here. Let's start with the island. Okay, archive from the opponent. Oculus right into the grave. Are you kidding me, bro? That is so dangerous. Well, we might have a turn 2 Oculus from the opponent. Crap? That's not good news. I don't know how we get around that with this hand currently. All right, let's see what they end up playing for free out of their hand. It's a recommission. Danger? We're in danger, bro. That's a turn 2.5. Deadly Cover-Up's actually really good. Holy cow. But we need to figure this out. Yeah, Deadly Cover-Up is excellent. We might have trouble collecting evidence, though. All right, we stick to our only turn 3. I really wish we had one of our Annihilating Glares now, right? We had that one in the last game that didn't do anything. I think right now the Annihilating Glare would be pretty good to sacrifice the barrier and pop the Oculus and make them do this all over again. Recommission the Oculus again, kind of keep it off the board, keep our life total high enough for a few turns, right? Also, Annihilating Glare being 1 mana, we'd still be able to have the Bandit's Hall play too for the turn. We play Bandit's Hall, use this as the 1 mana, pop the Gleaming Barrier, get the treasure token ramp. We'd have 5 mana if we pop the Annihilating Glare and they bring back the Oculus at that point too. We'd have the Deadly Cover-Up ready when it came time. Okay. This draw really matters. It's a Solemn Simulacrum, which actually blocks on the ground pretty well. If it gets countered, though... Yeah, this also helping us ramp into the 5 for Haunt the Network, which will eventually help us gain some life back. More importantly, it's got to be Deadly Cover-Up first. Well, it doesn't have to be. It probably has to be. But if we do Haunt the Network first, Trump blockers in the air, right? Life gain, and then enough in the grave to potentially collect evidence when it comes time. Alright, I hope Solemn Simulacrum lands. I think it's definitely worthwhile. It lands, alright. Let's grab a, based on this hand, I'll grab a Swamp. That way, even if something happens to Bandit's Hall, we'll have double black for the Deadly Cover-Up. Moment of truth. I think worst case scenario here is one of their face down cards being a big old chunky creature like another Oculus or something. Well, there's an Oculus, another Oculus in the grave. Yeah, I'd love to be able to collect evidence on the Oculus, but we have nothing in our graveyard currently. They do have, they go for the recommission off the Founding the Third Path to bring back the other Oculus. Now at that point, they're going to be manifesting Dread twice. So we're going to be forced into the Deadly Cover-Up. All right, we definitely try blocking on the ground. Get some card draw on the Simulacrum. That's not terrible for us. Take action for sure. Oildeep Gearhulk isn't the worst, I suppose. We're gonna Manifest Dread. Yeah, having Solemn Simulacrum in the grave, now we're closer to the deadly cover-up, but not quite there. So it's like I said, we could go haunt the network. We gain a little bit back. We have chump blockers in the air, potentially. Either way, if it's a counterspell, then I guess we're out of this game. If we do haunt the network, then we'll have the collect evidence. At that point, I think we might want to actually risk that, right? We also have Simulacrum Synthesizer into Memory Guardian, which is pretty good too. But double Oculus and all these face-down cards, they could flip any of these face-down cards easy peasy. I say we risk it with the Haunt the Network, dude. Other than that, if we just go Deadly Cover-Up, they're just going to bring one of these back and we're going to be stuck in the same situation. Right? All those cards in hand. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this, man. A couple chump blockers. We'll see what we can get done. Up to 12. It didn't stick at all, so Deadly Cover-Up is ready. So we have to block both Oculus and the face-down cards. Well, yeah, probably. But let's see what they do first, because a lot of tempo's packed into these builds. They could easily get rid of our tokens. Yeah, how do you guys like that risk that we took? Block, and then we could take 10, huh? Probably not, because I plan on wiping the board, so... block. Yep. Take 4, down to 8. Oh, woohoo! Good thing we blocked. One of their face-down cards was, in fact, a chunky card. Chart a course for just 1 mana, because Hadijin. And... come on, opponent, tap out for me, buddy. Oh, no. They didn't tap out. Oh, no. Alright, so unfortunately with Hadijin on the board now, too, Deadly Cover-Up is only going to pick up the Oculus if it lands, first of all. It might not. It might not land, but I'll tell you what. Haunt the Network wasn't stuck at all, so definitely want to collect that evidence. Let's see what happens. They dropped the nice. We waited 1 turn for the greed. Is the greed gonna pay off? It's a Picklock Prankster. Oh, they put more into the grave for us to peer through. Holy cow, dude. Alright, well, we know the Hadijin's coming back. I'm pretty sure the best pick here is gonna be the Oculus. Library, another Oculus, 2 more Oculus in the grave. That's crazy, man. Okay. They only got 20 cards remaining in their deck list. The Oculus is out of the equation. What can we pull off here, man? Founding the Third Path. Play Helping Hand for free. Bring back that Hadijin. Picklock Prankster must be coming down too. We have blockers in the air, but I really don't want to double block with 2 Memory Guardians into a Hadijin, you know? Also, we would have needed to see mana to go both Memory Guardians for the turn too. The Oildeep Gearhulk, the lifelink could come in handy. It's just too bad we're not doing anything else past that, right? We have 2 mana. Yeah, we would have needed to see land off the top for the double block. For now, another Deadly Cover-Up? Are you kidding me? I'm going to keep that dude for sure, right? I'll send the Grim Bauble. And we only got 2 in here. Oh no, yeah, the Memory Guardians make each other cheaper. This is perfect, guys. So now we have blockers and I guess at that point an emergency Deadly Cover-Up. Because the opponent is kind of in danger here too if they full swing or something. I think I will gladly double block the Hadijin. Opponent has 15 cards remaining. Maybe I should have sent the Deadly Cover-Up in search for another Haunt the Network or something to help us stay in long. I guess Deadly Cover-Up is helping us stay in too. And then this time the Exile will be the Hottie. Oh, well that pretty much tells us what we're going to be doing. Let's see if they play the Prankster too, because that's just so mean. The other Deadly Cover-Up's so mean at that point. They got 11 cards remaining in the deck list. They grab a Charter Course. They're running out of cards. They draw 2. They have 3 in hand, 4 mana open, 9 cards remaining. Okay, they play the other Prankster. This Deadly Cover-Up is going to be rough, dude. And I think at that point, we chump the Hottie. Well, okay, hold up. We don't know if they have a counterspell in hand. Let's see if there's any counterspells in the grave. Spell Pierce, yeah. They have Spell Pierce. So if we chump, right, we have a bigger swing next turn before going Deadly Cover-Up. If we double block, it's a safer bet if they do counter the Deadly Cover-Up. No, it's not actually, because then we still won't have a blocker in the air. All right, we chump. We actually want to keep the Memory Guardian. How does this work? Because now they have 2 Hottie. So no matter what, the Deadly Cover-Up has to land, I guess, is how this ends up working. Yeah, we only got 5 mana anyways. All right, full swing. Yeah. I hope I'm playing this out well enough, guys, but with double Hottie on the board, only 1 blocker in the air, they're gonna chump. They're gonna chump. Okay, so we do end up getting that 3 through, which is actually good. That makes the last block make a little bit more sense. Now let's see if they got that Spell Pierce, dude. Let's collect that evidence. I guess submit 7. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Get that Hottie out of here. 2 more in their library, too. Aw, GG opponent. That was brutal, man. That was a control deck list for sure. Like, we really controlled the board without counterspells, which is nice, right? I had a lot of fun in that game, of course. Yeah, I wonder if they have this 1 Spell Pierce packed into the deck list, or if they had 2. Wait, we can look at their library, because we were picking stuff out of it. Looks like they have 1 Spell Pierce packed in, unless I missed it somewhere. I guess I didn't check if they exiled anything else that game. Guys, we're about 38 minutes in. I say we end on a high note, dude. And like for real, we should end on a nice clean victory versus a deck list that is very hard to get a victory against. So, Haunting Artifacts, cool stuff, man. Haunt the Network was awesome. It's really easy to get to in here. 25 mana, ramp on Bandit's Hall, Gleaming Barrier, Solemn Simulacrum, maybe ramp on Treasure Map at some point. We didn't really get to see Treasure Map do too much today, unfortunately. Grim Bauble also kind of just didn't hit its mark either. I think there's going to be plenty of moments, though, turn 1 picking up a Heartfire hero that you're going to be very happy about. Annihilating Glare, I could easily see going up to 3 of those, because there are going to be a lot of moments where, yeah, you have the turn 3 Bandit's Hall and you still want to be able to do an Annihilating Glare, pop a Gleaming Barrier, ramp even further with the Treasure Map and everything too. Like, that's actually just really sick, right? How do you guys like the Gleaming Barrier? Do you like the 4 of them in here? It's a 0/4 defender. It blocks pretty well, and it blocks a lot of the aggressive decks pretty well. There's still a lot of evasion floating about, like in that last deck list. We were kind of sweating about all the extra flyers and whatnot, so. Also, in that last match against that deck, we kind of got a little lucky that they didn't actually end up countering the Deadly Cover-Up at all. 2 Deadly Cover-Ups landing when the opponent had open mana and cards in hand that we didn't know about. I'd call that pretty lucky, actually. What do you guys think? Would this deck list benefit from having counterspells? And we're looking at the, of course, the 3 steps ahead, because that is a way to copy the artifacts that we already have on the board if you're not actually using it as a counterspell. Or why not both, right? If you got enough mana. So for me, Not the biggest fan of counterspells. I don't play well with counterspells either. I never know when to keep it open or just play cards out of my hand, you know? I'm not going up any counterspells. 3 steps ahead was in the honorable mentions, though, for a very, very good reason. I think that's important, and if you do go up 3 steps ahead, don't forget, like, the double blue on the counterspell side of things. So you might need to look at the mana base a little bit. Speaking of looking at the mana base, let's bring this over here real quick. Let's take a look at the mana base. Right, we have the Hidden Cataract here too. We're kind of treating the Verge as just a blue source. Well, at that point, now we have more blue sources than swamps, right? Even though the deck list is leaning just a little bit towards the swamps. But that's okay, because Gloomlake Verge is usually just going to be an excellent Dimir land. You can see any of your islands, any of your swamps, that's 12 cards already, or you can see any of the sewers. That is 16 other lands that you can see with the Verge, to have the Verge just be an excellent dual land. So I think this split makes a lot of sense, actually. So if you're only seeing like Mirrex, Fountainport, and Verge, then you probably would have just mulliganed anyways. You still want to try to find one of your swamps. At that point too, since we are leaning a little bit swamp, yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything with the mana base. Actually felt pretty good, and I think in a lot of those games we would have had no trouble actually casting out the Oildeep Gearhulk too. In the first game, in the first match, I had a lot of awkward things where we have some scrying in here, we have some surveils in here, and it's like, oh, well, I want to keep that on top. Well, actually, you don't, because there's so much shuffling in this one too. Repurposing Bay, obviously grabbing something out of the deck list, you're shuffling after, of course, right? Same thing with Solemn Simulacrum too. Which also, guys, I do like all 4 of these as well. This is one of those underplayed cards for sure. I'm shocked that we don't see this anywhere for some reason, right? And maybe it belongs in a Simulacrum Synthesizer build, but I'd say where it belongs, yeah, like a synthesizer build that actually needs to get to its top end. Perfect spot for it in a Haunt the Network deck list where we want to get to the 5th mana. Demonic Junker didn't actually come into play today. I think it'll be worth the 2 of, but it's also a rare card too. If you don't have this, you don't have to craft this. You could just go up another piece of removal. I recommend looking around the artifacts to see what you could find. We did have another honorable mention that could help slow down the early game. Lodestone Needle would actually lean the deck towards the blue, which should still be fine. Since, yeah, technically the Verge is just going to be a blue until you see one of the other things anyways. So, because technically once we did the rearranging, remember, we're kind of already leaning blue, but just kind of, right? Yeah, Lodestone Needle could be a great budget trade out if you don't have Demonic Junker. Speaking of budget trade outs, Haunt the Network's just an uncommon. Memory Guardian's just an uncommon. Now, Solemn Simulacrum, unfortunately, is a rare. And you guys can see I'm using an older version here because obviously I didn't want to craft the new version, which came out in Foundations. So you got to go to Not Collected. Let's see here. Yeah, here's the Foundations ones. It is also rare, unfortunately. So always double check that when there's a reprint, right? Always double check your collection. Save on those wild cards, because obviously I'm not going to want to craft the new version if I already have 4 of the old version, right? So, yep, rocking the old version. That is a rare, and I'd say it's well worth it in here. Here's the problem. I haven't seen this, like, anywhere. So, be careful crafting it. Like, where else are you going to pack it in? There's definitely some other deck lists that would not mind this at all, but no one else is playing with it. So, I might be wrong. Oildeep Gearhulk, I do like the 1 of, but this is a mythic. This is also a mythic that you don't have to play with in here. You could easily just go up a 3rd Memory Guardian. That's totally fine. Speaking of which, if you only have like 2 Solemn Simulacrums, then you could go up the other 2 Memory Guardians pretty easily, I'd say. But I will say this, I do think Solemn Simulacrum's ramp is just pretty important to get to that Haunt the Network on time. However, we do have 25 mana in here too, which honestly might be too much sometimes. But with all the extra scrying, you can scry away the extra mana. some Surveil. Even Grim Bauble's Surveil kind of came into play today. That's really important too. So you can always send the extra mana. You can send extra mana off the Surveil on the Undercity Sewers as well. That's important. I like that the Bandit's Hall bottom ability actually came into play too. We are committing crimes relatively easily because targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyard is a crime. So there's a lot of things that target in here. Annihilating Glare targets, Grim Bauble targets one of their creatures as well. And then also, well, holy crap, I just lost track of everything that targets. All 4 Haunt the Networks target, Demonic Junker targets, Oildeep Gearhulk targets. So there's actually a lot of crimes. And I guess this could be your 3 mana artifact that ramps, I guess, whatever you want. But Bandit's Hall is also an uncommon, and I do think that there's not a lot of card draw in here anyways. I'd consider even more Bandit's Hall. And there you go, man. Even more things that you could potentially trade out. Maybe you only have 1 Repurposing Bay. Is the second one worth the craft? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe just go up that 3rd Bandit's Hall instead, because it's just an uncommon. So Treasure Map is also a rare. The only thing it did today was act as a 2 mana artifact. So there's another one that you could trade out for just a budget 2 mana artifact as well. So overall, I think you can easily make this deck list a budget deck list, outside of the mana base, of course, but you can always use, especially if you're a Dimir player, these Dimir lands in other deck lists, and you can definitely find other places for cards like Fountainport too, so cool stuff, man. I really liked this. This was a lot of fun. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. What would you add or take out? What does your Simulacrum Synthesizer deck list look like? What does your Haunt the Network deck list look like? Are they the same deck list? Are they different deck lists? Definitely let me know. If you made it this far into the video for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.